Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we dig into the most important signals out there, cutting through all the noise to give you the insights you really need on tech, finance, and culture.
Exactly. We've pulled together a bunch of sources today. We're looking at everything from, incredible progress in rockets and AI speed to some surprising stats on global wealth and even some real roadblocks in Western productivity. Our job here is to pull out the key nuggets so you get a quick handle on what's actually moving the needle right now.
Okay, let's jump right in with that acceleration theme, starting with the physical stuff, engineering. First post is from @LouisMatt, who says, rocket reusability isn't just an optimization, it's a phase transition. When you throw rockets away, you're limited by factory throughput. 16 rockets here. Reuse them, and you enter a different regime of launch volume, economics, and ambition.
Right. And that term phase transition, that's really the core idea here. It means a fundamental shift, like water turning to ice. You're moving from being stuck by how many rockets you can build.
Like only 16 a year, roughly.
Yeah, exactly. To a model where it's about how often you can reuse the ones you have. And with reuse getting, over 90% by 2024, that pushed the launch count way up.
132 launches annually, the source said.
Which just completely changes the game for getting stuff into orbit. It's a different world.
And that reusability needs massive hardware. Demizeniak posted a picture of Starship stacked on Mechazilla. I mean, it just looks enormous.
Oh, it is. And that photo, taken right before the October 13th test flight, it really captures the sheer scale. But it's not just big for the sake of being big. That size is directly linked to the economics. This whole system is designed to potentially slash launch costs. We're talking from maybe $10,000 per kilogram.
Which is already way down from shuttle days.
Right, down to maybe under $10 per kilogram. That's the really aggressive target.
Yeah.
And look, even if they only get partway there, it's not just cheaper launches. It completely opens up new possibilities, new markets even.
Okay, so incredible speed and scale in hardware. Let's see if that's mirrored in AI. Elon Musk tweeted about a huge update for Grok Imagine. Major upgrade just released for @Grok Imagine, now at version 0.9 from 0.1. That jump, 0.1 to 0.9, seems like a lot, really fast.
It signals really aggressive development, almost like they're iterating in real time. They seem to be pushing hard for artistic range and sheer speed. Did you see the video montage they included? Just tons of vivid, fantastical images. It looks like speed of iteration is the absolute top priority.
Right, speed seems key. And Amex Freeze picked up on that too. Grok generates instant text, instant images, instant videos, fastest video generation, Grok Imagine video gen under 15 sec. But hang on, if the goal is just pure speed, instant images, video in under 15 seconds, doesn't that risk sacrificing accuracy?
It absolutely does. And that's the big trade-off everyone's watching. The speed is impressive, no doubt. Near-instant pictures, super fast video. But you constantly see feedback about, AI slop, factual errors, weird artifacts. It seems like they're thinking, get it fast first, fix the quality later. It's not about launching perfectly polished.
Okay, so we've got this almost breakneck speed and scale defining things. Where's the money flowing in this environment? Let's shift to finance, look at foundational assets. Bitcoin hit a pretty major milestone, reported by @StatsFeed. Bitcoin became the 7th most valued asset in the world with a 2.486T market cap. 7th in the world.
Yeah, that's a huge marker of maturity for the asset. It actually pushed Bitcoin's value past Amazon. Amazon was at $2.341 trillion, so now it's sitting just behind gold, Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, Alphabet, and silver. That's a pretty rarefied company.
What's wrecking that? Still just retail hype?
Not just retail anymore. This move seems heavily driven by big players, institutional money finally coming in. Plus, all those Bitcoin ETFs getting approved. It's really solidifying its place as, a serious store of value for a lot more people.
Wow. Okay, to give that market cap some crazy historical context, @Brian Armstrong shared this little tidbit. 16 years ago today, you could buy 3,309 BTC for $1. This is the first recorded dollar valuation of Bitcoin, calculated by electricity costs to mine Bitcoin at the time. 3,309 Bitcoin for $1.
It's mind-blowing, right? That single dollar would be worth, around $161 million today. Just incredible numbers. But the really interesting part for you, I think, is how they got that first dollar valuation back in 2009.
Yeah, the electricity cost thing.
Exactly. It was purely based on the proof of work cost. How much electricity did it take for a standard computer CPU to mine those coins? That was the price. It wasn't speculative at all. It was fundamentally tied to the real-world cost of creation, which really underscores how different its origins were from, say, a typical stock launch.
Okay, so we've got this insane wealth creation, exponential tech. But then, why does it feel like we're sometimes struggling to just get the basics right? digitally and physically. Let's start with a worrying digital example from @ZachCorman. He posts, Copilot in Excel is a global financial crisis waiting to happen, and he includes a screenshot.
Yeah, I saw that one. The screenshot shows Copilot adding 1, 2, and 3 and getting 15, not 6.
15.
That's not even close.
It's astonishingly bad, right? It's not like a tiny rounding error. It's a fundamental failure of arithmetic. And apparently, this isn't totally uncommon. Some studies suggest these large language models can have error rates up to like 50% on simple math problems. It's because of how they process information, based on tokens and patterns, not actual calculation rules.
50% error rate on simple math if I did that. I mean,
Right.
forget it. That really drives home the trust issue with these tools. So for anyone listening who's using these AI assistants for, say, financial modeling or planning, you absolutely need human eyes on everything. It's just non-negotiable right now. Which logically leads to the next question. How do we manage the information these flawed AIs are trained on? Ed Chamath had an interesting idea about this. He proposed a feature for Wikipedia called the Big Diff List, a list of the most manipulated Wikipedia pages from the Wikipedia Truth Baseline, so that Google Search deboosts those pages from search, anti-comment crawl, excludes them from training data.
Okay, so Wikipedia acts as a sort of truth baseline, and the diff list flags Wikipedia pages that stray too far from it.
That's the idea. If your AI learns from biased or just plain wrong data, it's garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
So this aims to identify known problem spots on Wikipedia, and there are documented critiques about biases, especially political ones,
Right.
and then flag those pages. The goal is to essentially clean up the AI's training diet and maybe even get search engines to downrank the suspect pages, trying to build a more reliable information foundation.
From digital truth to physical reality. We see a similar kind of struggle, maybe. A failure to just build stuff. @Plins asked a really pointed question. What would it take for Western democracies to regain the ability to build actual things? If we don't, democracy will end. Strong words.
Yeah, and the trigger for that post was apparently the stark contrast between, say, China building the world's largest railway station, Chongqing East, super quickly.
While in the West, things seem to take forever.
That's the feeling, and there's data behind it. OECD research actually shows that getting permits for major projects in Western countries takes, on average, 4.5 years.
Well, 4.5 years just for permit.
Compared to 1.7 years in China. When people see critical infrastructure projects getting bogged down for years in red tape, it definitely chips away at public confidence in the system's ability to deliver.
And does this difficulty extend to, like, the workforce side of things? Jordan Taylor summarized an Economist article on European labor laws. The Economist published this article. It argues that laws protecting labor in much of Europe make layoffs so onerous that high-risk moonshot projects become unviable.
Yeah, this is a classic debate.
Yeah.
The argument is basically that if it's incredibly difficult and expensive to let people go in Europe, long consultations, big severance packages,
Right.
then companies, especially startups trying ambitious moonshot projects, become really hesitant to hire in the first place.
Right.
They lose that flexibility to scale up or down quickly, which you often need for high-risk ventures.
Is there actual evidence for that impact?
There are economic studies. Some suggest these strict job protection laws can actually reduce labor productivity growth, particularly in sectors needing highly skilled workers, maybe by up to 0.5% per year. It definitely contrasts with the more hire and fire flexibility you see in the U.S. model.
Okay, shifting gears from those big structural issues to some of the, let's say, quirkier intelligence floating around. Let's start with predicting military action. Using pizza. We saw a Fox News clip, Peter Doocy asking Secretary Hegseth about the Pentagon Pizza Index. Is that a real thing?
It sounds like a joke, but yeah, it's apparently a real, if informal, open source intelligence OSINT theory. And it just got acknowledged at a pretty high level there. The idea behind the Pentagon Pizza Index is that a sudden late-night surge in pizza deliveries to the Pentagon area might signal that a lot of people are working late, potentially gearing up for a military operation.
Obviously.
Apparently, one report mentioned tracking a 280% spike in Domino's orders that supposedly correlated with a recent operation.
It just goes to show, sometimes low-tech data points can be surprisingly revealing, even for high-stakes stuff.
Wow. Okay, from pizza intelligence to pop culture censorship. Wills's 123 pointed out something odd in a Shrek 2 clip shown on TV. Notice what's been censored here. What was it? It was an interesting inconsistency. On the BBC broadcast, they bleeped out the word catnip. Puss in Boots gets caught with it. It's a funny drug reference.
Okay.
But in the same scene, they kept Donkey's line. police brutality. Now, ITV, which is another big UK channel, has actually been cutting that specific line since around 2020 because of sensitivity concerns.
So BBC cuts the catnip joke but keeps the police line, while ITV cuts the police line.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
just highlights how there isn't really a single consistent standard for what gets deemed sensitive or inappropriate, even between major broadcasters in the same country. It's kind of arbitrary.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, finally in this section, let's talk self-driving tech and how people perceive it. At Sawyer Merritt shared a personal story. Tonight at my twins' wedding, I gave several guests a ride in my Model Y using FSD. It was their first time ever experiencing it, and they were blown away by it. Most had no idea the technology was already this capable.
Yeah, this is a perfect example of the perception gap. A lot of people, especially maybe outside the U.S., like in Europe where regulations are different, they often confuse the basic autopilot features, lane keeping, adaptive cruise control, with what Tesla calls full self-driving, which is much more advanced, handling city streets and intersections.
So people just don't realize how far it's come.
Pretty much. The fact that the real deal still feels like magic or science fiction to first-timers shows that the actual capability isn't being communicated very well, especially with, the big V14 software update supposedly coming. The advertising or awareness just isn't matching the tech, it seems.
Okay, thinking about tech changing reality perception, let's zoom out a bit. How does all this constant change and sometimes failure affect us personally? This brings us to philosophy, maybe culture. At Ekesh Zell posted something pretty stark, paraphrasing Marcus Aurelius. This is the coldest life advice you'll hear. What are you afraid of losing when nothing in this world belongs to you?
Oof. Yeah, that's pure stoicism, hidden hard. The core idea is achieving freedom from fear by realizing you don't truly possess anything, not time, money, things, even people. It's all temporary, radical detachment.
Sounds freeing, maybe, but awfully kind of bleak.
Well, that was exactly the debate in the replies to that post. Does reaching that level of stoic calm mean you have to sort of undervalue the genuine joy you get from things or from deep connections with people, even if they are temporary? It's a tough balance.
Definitely something to think about. While we ponder that, the gaming world seems less concerned with detachment and more with feature bloat. Saw a thread complaining about a complex cooking minigame in the new game. Ghost of Yute at PulpFan69 called it AAA trash. So bloated with nonsense.
Yeah, this is pure satire aimed right at modern, big-budget game development. The joke is that developers spend tons of time and resources on really complex, non-essential side activities, like detailed physics and haptics just for flipping a virtual fish perfectly. It's seen as unnecessary bloat, distracting from the core gameplay.
And the punchline.
The perfect retort came from Uncle Doomer, who basically said, you can just go outside, go down to the river, catch and cook a fish and eat it.
Right, just do the real thing,
Except, as you were about to say, doing the real thing often involves hassles the virtual world smooths over, like needing a fishing license, finding a spot, knowing how to cook it, all that real-world friction.
which loops right back to the paradox we talked about earlier. Sometimes it's easier to build virtually than physically because of all the real-world hurdles.
What a ride through the feed today, huh? We saw incredible speed in space tech with reusability and AI with image generation. We tracked Bitcoin climbing the global asset ranks. But we also saw significant issues like basic math errors in AI and deep-seated problems with getting big projects built in the West. Oh, and pizza-based military intelligence.
Yeah, quite the mix. So, wrapping this up, if we pull all these threads together, what's the big picture?
Well, it feels like we're living in this really strange duality, doesn't it? On one hand, you have truly accelerating genius Starship aiming to cut launch costs by 99%, just mind-blowing progress. But on the other hand, you have these bewildering failures, like an advanced AI confidently stating that 1 + 2 + 3 = 15.
So, brilliance and breakdown, side by side.
Yeah, exactly. Which leads to the final thought for you, the listener. Given where we're seeing the highest error rates, the slowest progress, the most friction, which area in your world, maybe professional or personal, needs your most critical attention and oversight this week? Where's the 1 + 2 + 3 = 15 hiding for you?
Definitely something to mull over. Okay, that's our deep dive for today. We'll keep scanning the feeds, pulling out the signal.
Catch you next time.
See you then.